His meals weren't royal banquets. They were battlefield survival rations that turned warriors into unstoppable machines. While history remembers Genghis Khan as the universal ruler, the man who transformed a divided nomadic people into a powerful, organized empire that permanently reshaped the map of the medieval world, his personal menu was surprisingly austere compared to the decadent courts he conquered. Unlike the Roman emperors feasting on lark tongues or the Chinese emperors with their 1,000-dish banquets, Genghis Khan remained a man of the steppe until his death. This video explores the specific diet of Genghis Khan. What did he eat to fuel the largest land empire in human history? In 1206, when Temujin was crowned Genghis Khan at the Great Kurultai, he ruled over a territory that would soon stretch from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea. Yet, if you were to sit at the Great Khan's side during a victory feast, you would not find plates of exotic spices or complex sauces. You would find a knife, a communal bowl of boiled meat, and a leather flask of fermented mare's milk. To understand the Khan's palate, one must understand his poverty. After his father Yasuge was poisoned by Tartars, Temujin's family was cast out of the tribe and left to die on the banks of the Annan River. For several years, the future conqueror did not eat the noble diet of meat and milk. He subsisted on the foods of the poor, what Mongols considered goat food. His mother, Huwailin, kept the family alive by foraging for wild onions, garlic chives, lily roots, and garden burnet. These pungent roots remained a nostalgic, if humble, flavor profile for the Khan throughout his life. Lacking horses to hunt large game, the young Temujin trapped marmots and caught fish in the river. In Mongol culture, fish was considered a survival food, not a delicacy. This period of scarcity instilled in him a zero-waste philosophy that became military law. To waste food was to invite the wrath of the eternal blue sky. The red and the white, the Imperial menu. The diet of Genghis Khan and his formidable armies dramatically shifted in summer, from April to October, focusing on the highly efficient and sustainable white foods, sagan-i-di. This period, known as the season of lactation, meant the diet was almost entirely liquid and dairy-based, with the Khan consuming practically no solid meat. The main calorie source, and arguably the most vital staple, was airag, also known as kumis. This was the champagne of the steppes, fermented mare's milk. Unlike cow's milk, mare's milk is naturally higher in sugar, which facilitates fermentation into a fizzy, slightly sour, and mildly alcoholic beverage. Crucially, airag provided Genghis Khan with his daily intake of vitamin C, a remarkable fact given the lack of citrus in their environment, effectively preventing scurvy during their long campaigns. For solid nourishment, the Khan relied on arul, dried curds. Any milk not consumed immediately was boiled, curdled, and then left to dry on the roofs of their gers, yurts, until it hardened into calcified chunks of protein. These rock-hard curds were virtually imperishable and were designed to be chewed while riding, essentially functioning as the world's first military-grade protein bar. By relying on these durable, portable, and nutritionally complete dairy products, Genghis Khan ensured his forces maintained peak physical condition throughout the long summer campaign season. When the bitter winds of the Mongolian winter howled across the steppe, the white foods of summer vanished. In their place came the season of red food, ulan-idi, a diet driven by the primal need for heat and survival. It wasn't just a change in menu, it was a biological necessity for Genghis Khan and his warriors. The daily fuel for the Mongol army was boiled mutton. The sheep was quartered and boiled in massive cauldrons with nothing but water and perhaps a pinch of salt. The goal wasn't just cooked meat, but the creation of shulan, a rich, fatty broth. This liquid fat was essential, warming the blood and providing the immense calorie load needed to survive sub-zero temperatures. However, when the cold became truly life-threatening, the Mongols turned to their most prized source of energy, horse meat. Culturally, horse meat was considered a hot food, believed to generate internal body heat that mutton could not match. For the Great Khan, specific cuts were likely reserved. Historical accounts suggest he would have been served the fat from the mane and the belly, the most energy-dense and tender portions, essential for maintaining the leader's vitality during brutal winter campaigns. The efficiency of the Mongol war machine extended to their butchery. Nothing was discarded. The intestines were meticulously washed and braided into sausages, a technique still seen in Mongolia today. The lungs were inflated and dried for later use, and even the blood was saved to enrich broths. This nose-to-tail eating wasn't a culinary trend. It was the discipline of a people who knew that in the deep winter, every calorie was a weapon against death. The politics of the plate. Dining with the Great Khan. For Genghis Khan, dining was rarely a simple act of sustenance. It was an extension of his governance and a demonstration of hierarchy. While the Great Kurultai, political assembly, featured massive open-air feasts that appeared celebratory, they were actually political theaters governed by the same strict discipline that defined the Mongol army. The organization of the feast created a physical map of the empire's power structure. The seating chart was rigid. Genghis Khan always positioned himself at the northernmost point of the circle. From this vantage point, he faced south, the direction associated with warmth and life. The placement of his subjects reinforced their roles. His sons, the future of his lineage, were seated to his right. His generals, the instruments of his will, sat to his left. Even the distribution of food was not egalitarian. Rations were allotted strictly according to rank, reminding every attendee of their specific standing within the Khan's regime. The food itself reflected the rugged, nomadic lifestyle of the Mongols, contrasting sharply with the sedentary cultures they conquered. Unlike the chopped stir-fries of his Chinese adversaries, the Khan's meat was served on the bone. This required a hands-on approach to dining that bordered on the martial. Genghis Khan used his personal knife, a tool he carried at all times, to slice the meat directly towards his mouth. This method emphasized a readiness for action and a rejection of unnecessary refinement. While the culture was renowned for heavy drinking, including the consumption of airag, fermented mare's milk, and rice wine, Genghis Khan remained famously cautious. He viewed intoxication as a strategic vulnerability. He notably warned his sons, "A man who gets drunk is like a man struck on the head. His wisdom and skill avail him nothing at that time." This quote proved prophetic. While Genghis maintained his discipline, his successor, Ogedei Khan, tragically ignored this advice. Ogedei eventually died of alcoholism, marking the beginning of a vice that would plague the Golden family for generations to come. The taste of conquest. How empire transformed the Mongol diet. For Genghis Khan, the expansion of the Mongol Empire was not merely a military endeavor, it was a cultural collision that fundamentally altered the steppe diet. As his campaigns pushed into the Jin dynasty of northern China and the Khwarezmid Empire of Central Asia, the strict simplicity of nomadic cuisine began to fracture under the weight of foreign influence. Initially, the Mongol ethos was strictly opposed to farming, viewing agriculture as scarring the earth. However, the logistical reality of feeding a massive expanding empire superseded tradition. The conquest of agrarian societies forced a culinary compromise. While meat remained central, rice and millet became undeniable necessities. These grains were not eaten as standalone dishes, but were integrated into traditional shulin stews as thickeners, blending the nomadic reliance on livestock with the sustenance of their conquered subjects. As the Mongols secured the trade routes, the olfactory landscape of the Khan's camp shifted. The heavy scent of boiling mutton, the staple of the steppe, was joined by exotic fragrances from the Silk Road. Traders and tributaries brought pepper, cinnamon, ginger, Persian saffron, and Indian cardamom. Historical accounts suggest a divide in the royal tent. While Genghis Khan likely maintained a preference for his meat plain, adhering to the austere habits of his youth, his court began to experiment avidly. The culinary palate of the elite became a mirror of the empire's vast reach. The most consequential import, however, was alcohol. The traditional Mongol drink, airag, fermented mare's milk, was relatively mild with an alcohol content of only 2 to 3%. The conquest of Persia and China introduced the Mongols to grape wine and distilled rice spirits. These foreign libations were significantly more potent than what the Mongol physiology and culture were accustomed to. The influx of hard liquor proved to be a double-edged sword. While it served as a spoil of war, it marked the beginning of a severe health decline among the Mongol elite, turning the taste of conquest into a generational poison. Genghis Khan remained a man of the white and red until his death in 1227, likely caused by illness or injuries from a fall. Despite the vast riches at his disposal, he refused to abandon the steppe lifestyle, continuing to sleep in a tent and subsist on fermented milk and boiled meat. However, he possessed a sharp awareness that his discipline would not be hereditary. He offered a stark prediction to his sons, warning that future generations would exchange their rugged origins for remade garments and golden garments and sweet and greasy food. He feared that in embracing fine horses and beautiful women, they would forget the austerity that secured their power. His foresight proved undeniable. Within 2 generations, the discipline of the early empire had evaporated. Under Kublai Khan, the Mongol court abandoned the iron gut diet that had built their civilization in favor of extreme extravagances, such as dining on elephant paw and drinking wine from silver fountains. The culinary simplicity of Genghis Khan died with him, replaced by the very opulence he had warned against.